At some point today, a thought entered your mind that you would never say out loud. Maybe it was violent, maybe it was shameful, maybe it involved hurting someone you love or yourself. And the second it appeared, a wave of disgust hit you. You wondered what kind of person thinks something like that. Here is what no one ever told you. That thought is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is proof that your brain is functioning exactly the way it was designed to. And the people who never have those thoughts, scientists are not sure those people are actually healthy. What you are about to find out is that the thoughts you are most ashamed of reveal something extraordinary about the human mind, something psychologists have known for decades, but almost nobody talks about. Psychologists call them intrusive thoughts, and despite how disturbing they feel, research shows that over 90% of the general population experiences them regularly. Not people with mental illness, not people with trauma, ordinary people, professors, parents, surgeons, teachers, all walking around with thoughts they believe make them monsters. The thoughts vary. Some people imagine pushing a stranger onto a subway track. Some people, holding a baby, suddenly picture dropping it. Some people, standing at the edge of a cliff, feel a pull toward jumping, even though they have absolutely no desire to die. Psychologists even have a name for that last one. They call it the call of the void. And here is the part that will rearrange how you understand your own mind. The more disturbing a thought feels to you, the less likely you are to act on it. Your horror at the thought is not a warning sign, it is the safety mechanism. But if these thoughts are harmless, why does your brain generate them at all? The answer goes somewhere much darker than you would expect, and it starts with an experiment that horrified the researchers who ran it. In the 1980s, Harvard psychologist Daniel Wegner ran a simple experiment. He asked participants to spend 5 minutes thinking about anything they wanted, anything at all, except a white bear. They were told, do not think about a white bear. What happened was immediate and almost violent. The white bear invaded their thoughts an average of more than once per minute. The harder they tried to suppress it, the more relentlessly it appeared. Wegner called this ironic process theory, and it revealed something unsettling about the architecture of your mind. Your brain runs two systems simultaneously. One system does the work. It searches for the white bear thought and removes it. But the second system monitors for failure. It keeps asking, am I thinking about the white bear? Am I thinking about the white bear? And every time it asks, it creates exactly the thought it's trying to prevent. Now apply that to your darkest intrusive thoughts. The moment you decide a thought is forbidden, your brain's monitoring system locks onto it, not because you want it, because suppression itself is a trap. You are not broken. You are caught in one of the most fundamental design flaws of human cognition. But Wegner's work only answers the mechanism. It doesn't answer why these thoughts are violent and disturbing in the first place. For that, you need to look at a theory that made an entire room of psychologists deeply uncomfortable when it was first proposed. Researcher Adam Radomski and his colleagues conducted studies across 16 countries, asking thousands of people about the specific content of their unwanted thoughts. And what they found was that the thoughts clustered into predictable categories across every culture: harm, contamination, sexuality, religion, doubt. Different languages, different countries, same dark inventory. The leading explanation is rooted in evolutionary psychology. Your brain evolved not just to help you survive, but to simulate threats before they happen. It runs a constant background program, a kind of internal threat theater that rehearses worst-case scenarios so you can recognize and avoid them in the real world. The thought of pushing someone onto a subway track is not a desire. It's your brain's simulation engine misfiring into your conscious awareness. So if intrusive thoughts are universal and automatic and say nothing about who you are, why do some people get completely consumed by them, to the point where they can barely function? The answer depends on one single variable, and it's not what any researcher expected. The variable is not the content of the thought. It's not how violent or disturbing it is. The only thing that determines whether an intrusive thought destroys your life or disappears in seconds is how much meaning you assign to it. Psychologist Paul Salkowskis called this cognitive fusion. When a person believes having a thought is equivalent to wanting to act on it, when they believe the thought reveals their true nature, the brain interprets the thought as a genuine threat, and then the suppression loop begins, and then the anxiety spirals, and then a thought that lasted 1 second can take over months of someone's life. This is precisely how OCD develops in many cases, not from having darker thoughts than other people. Research confirms OCD sufferers don't have more disturbing thoughts than the general population. They have the exact same thoughts. What they have in excess is meaning. They attach catastrophic significance to mental events that everyone else lets pass like traffic noise. And this is the moment where this topic stops being about mental illness and starts being about everyone. Because you have done this. You have had a thought, decided it said something terrible about you, and felt the shame spiral follow. Maybe it wasn't about violence. Maybe it was about a relationship, or your own worth, or something you imagined doing that felt unacceptable. The mechanism is identical. Now here is the question that changes everything, and that neuroscience is only beginning to answer. If your thoughts are generated by a system running beneath your awareness, thoughts you didn't choose and don't want, in what sense are those thoughts actually you? Consider a new mother. She's sitting in a rocking chair holding her 3-week-old infant. She loves this child completely, and suddenly, without any warning, an image flashes through her mind of dropping the baby down the stairs. She freezes, her heart rate spikes. She puts the baby down and leaves the room, convinced she's a danger to her own child. Studies show that over 80% of new mothers experience intrusive thoughts about harming their infants. The mothers who quietly experience these thoughts and understand them as normal brain noise are not at risk. The mothers who spiral into shame and secrecy are the ones most at risk of developing postpartum OCD, not because of the thought, but because of the meaning they gave it. Or consider a man who is deeply religious. He walks into his church every Sunday, and without any warning, a blasphemous thought rips through his mind. He doesn't believe it, he doesn't want it, and yet it comes, week after week, with increasing force. Because every time he fights it, Wegner's ironic monitoring system intensifies it. His faith is not weak, his brain is working against him in the exact way it was designed to. Or consider you, sitting there right now, remembering a thought you had that you told no one. A thought so specific and so disturbing that you genuinely worried it made you a bad person. According to decades of research, the very fact that it disturbed you is the clearest possible evidence that you are not. Psychologists are near unanimous on this point. People who actually intend harm don't feel horror at the thought, they feel planning. Here is the most unsettling truth that this research points towards. You didn't choose a single thought you have ever had, not one. They arose from neural processes operating beneath your conscious access, shaped by evolution, experience, and a threat simulation engine you inherited from ancestors who needed it to survive. The you that you believe yourself to be, the narrator, the one with values and intentions and a sense of right and wrong, that entity is not producing your thoughts. It is observing them, reacting to them, and in some cases being terrorized by them. This is what cognitive neuroscientists and Buddhist meditators have independently arrived at from completely different directions. The thought is not the thinker. The storm is not the sky. And once you understand that, the shameful thought you have ever had loses something it was never supposed to have in the first place: your identity. You are not your intrusive thoughts. But here is what I want to know. Now that you understand the science, now that you know these thoughts are universal, automatic, and say nothing about who you are, Does the shame actually go away? Or does knowing the psychology not quite reach the feeling? Drop your answer in the comments, because I genuinely think this is one of the most important questions about the human mind, and the only way to answer it honestly is to hear from people who have actually lived it.